Alright, here we are. We're heading towards spring break here. These are the last notes we're going to take before spring break, so we're going to kind of finish with this stuff, and then we're going to take a break and then do SAT stuff when we come back, and then we'll go back to this and finish it up and take a test. So, we're going to finish with day 6 of notes. This is the last video you're going to watch before break. We're still solving, and you can see on page 25. It's limiting it to answers in radians in one circle. So you don't need no 360n or 2 pi n. So I'm not going to keep going around in circles and do coterminal angles. I just have the one answer for each position on the unit circle. So today's going to be slightly different. You're going to do the same stuff you have, but if you notice, x is not by itself here in the middle. You have this 3x, which you're going to leave alone. So any number with x. So in the second one, it's x over 2. You're going to leave them alone to the very end. So we're going to solve it like we did before. So 2 cos 3x is equal to 1 divided by 2. So it's cosine of 3x is equal to 1/2. Now this is where I go to the unit circle and figure out where the cosine is going to be a positive 1/2. So in terms of radians, that's 1 pi over 3, and then 5 pi over 3. So the cosine part, so that's pi over 3 and 5 pi over 3. Now this is where the cosine is equal to the 1/2, so I still have the 3x here. So instead of x equals that, I have 3x equals pi over 3 and 3x equals 5 pi over 3. So when the number is with here, you leave it until the very end. So you figure out your answer in the unit circle, and then we're just going to finish by dividing by 3. So that's the same, you can just cross multiply it down. So this is pi over 9, and x is 5 pi over 9. And that's it. Okay, so it's really the same kind of thing. It's just when the x has a number, multiplying and dividing, you do that part last. So like on this next one, subtract 3 over, so I got 3 tan x over 2 is equal to negative 3. Divide by 3. I got tan x over 2 equals to negative 1. Now, so this is kind of where I pause and say, okay, I want to look for where the tangent is equal to a negative 1. So same thing, top and bottom, sine and cosine, but one is a positive and one's a negative. And that happens at 3 pi over 4 and 7 pi over 4. So I take my x over 2, set it to 3 pi over 4, and 7 pi over 4. Okay, so it's 6 pi over 4, which reduces to 3 pi over 2. And x is 14 pi over 4, which is 7 pi over 2. Okay, so at the end I finished solving, multiplied each side by 2. Alright, the next couple, you got a little bit of factoring here. So these ones, you just treat them like parentheses here. Treat that as one part. Treat this as a second part. Okay, so sine of 3x equals to 0, and 2 sine x minus 2 is equal to 0. Alright, so I do sine where the sine is equal to 0. So in radians, so the y value is equal to 0 at 0 radians, and another time when it's at pi radians. Okay, so it's not just x. I take that and set that equal to. So now I get finally I give x equals 0 radians and pi over 3 radians. And then take the other part, add 2 over, divide 2. Now this one, there's nothing here with the x, so right away I have x equals pi over 2. Alright, last notes here. So again, one of this one, you want to subtract the 1. Divide by 2. So I'm stuck here, I have to get the sign, so I have to figure out what the sign parts are. So sine is equal to, the y value is equal to a negative 1/2. So that is at 7 pi over 6, and also 11 pi over 6. Divide it out, you get 7 pi over 12, and 11 pi over 12. Alright, that's it. We're gonna finish reviewing the rest of this week, have a quiz, break it up, and break up into this unit into a couple of parts. So you're gonna have one part one day and one part the next day, and that'll be it before break. Talk to you soon. Bye.